Hello and welcome to the channel. I'm Cindy Daychuk with Queen Bee Creations. Thanks for tuning in today. You know, we're getting pretty close to Christmas. So I know that this becomes a really busy season, busy time. You're focusing on getting cookies baked and all kinds of other things. I am with you. So what I thought is as we get close to Christmas, any of the Christmas crafts and projects are really kind of quick. I'm not focusing on so much a lot of things and volume items to put into the shop at this point because I probably wouldn't sell them all. So instead, I'm just having fun doing small projects, small little things that you could do fairly quickly in your own home. Use it to be able to create a bit of a vignette, set things up in your house. This one's going to be for me too. So there you go. What I do have is I have a couple of thin, lightweight pine boards. I get the broken boards from Taekwondo grading, you know, after they've done their board breaking. But what I wanted was to create just a little, just a simple little church more than anything else. So what I want to do with this board, it's roughly maybe just shy of 9 inches. So if I go over 4 and a bit, it's close enough. So if I take that as being kind of my midpoint, then I just want to kind of make this one be a bit of a roof line for my church. And I'm doing this so that it's going to be very rough and kind of organic. So I'm not really sweating it. But so what I've got is this kind of just a basic outline. Doesn't look much like a church, but what we're looking at doing is putting a front to the church. And so I can draw that straight up. Would have been nice if I'd measured so that this is like a perfect measure of something, but of course I didn't, and it isn't. So 1.5. So that's maybe roughly my center, because you know what? It's still all good. So what I want to do is have this part, which would be kind of the doorway, cut on an angle. And it's going to sit out in front. So it's going to be covering up the peak of the other roof, but it's going to be in the front. It'll be good. Now, I am going to use my little table saw. I don't know. It just stays, and I just move the wood around it. I don't know what that's called. Scroll saw is maybe, no, that's a jigsaw. Scroll saw. I don't know. But these are all straight lines. So you could just take a handsaw and you could cut them off just as easily. So I am going to go get it cut along my lines, and I am just going to take my palm sander and sand them a little bit smooth because they'll be kind of rough from that. And then we'll be back. Very quick, very easy. Now that my 2 wood pieces are cut and lightly sanded, really I just focused on the edges, making sure I just didn't have all kinds of little flaky bits of wood. I want to put my base coat down. Now I'm going to do this very simple, so I'm just going to be distressing back to black, but it does mean that to distress back to black means I got to get everything painted black. So I'm going to get this painted black. Just 1 coat is going to do. I'm using Little Black Dress from DIY Paint, which I carry here in the shop, queenbeecreationshome.com, but use a black paint of your choice. It's not magic. So I'm going to get this all painted black, and then I'm going to get a couple of coats of white, which will be beadboard by DIY. on it. So I'm just gonna paint this, let it dry, get a couple of coats of the white over top of it, and then I'll come back. So it makes the most sense to get this painted before we start to assemble any of it. It's just gonna make life and painting and distressing so much easier. And you know what? In this season, you got enough things on your list to do that easy is nice. I'm just waiting for the final coat of white paint to dry. And while I was doing that, I decided that what I'd like to do is do a little wreath that I would put up in this big white space up above the door. So this tube looked to be about roughly the right size. So I had this little kind of berry twine, or I don't know what it, berry wire from the dollar store. Just comes in a roll. And so what I've done is just simply wrap this around the tube a couple of times and then wrap the ends in so that I end up with this little guy. And what I decided that I also want is a little bit of green in it. So I took these old little picks that came off a little thrifted item, and I cut off a bunch of leaves, and I'm just going to stick with some hot glue onto my tabletop. Yeah, onto here, just randomly here and there. So it's not gonna have tons of greenery. It's just gonna have a few odd leaves here and there to just kind of cover up a little bit of that twine. Okay, so what I end up with is this, minus the trailing glue tendrils. So nice and quick, nice and easy, and just kind of cute. It'll add a little bit of color up there. And so this is dry now. All I did on the back of this was paint the top because it's going to extend up higher than my base, but I didn't need to paint the back white because you're not going to see it. So what I don't want is this doorway to be totally pristine. So I am going to kind of distress it a bit. And I'm just blowing the black away so that I don't end up rubbing it in. And I'm just making it a little bit smoother. What I also have, so this is like a 320 grit sandpaper, it's very fine. And then I also have a wet wipe. So I'm just going to use this to start to distress out my edges. And I'm gonna do the same on the main body part of this as well, just to get it all distressed along the edges. So you can see just a little bit of distressing that I did on it to add a little bit more interest. And I'm just gonna take a little bit of sandpaper to get down along the edges of the doorway a little bit more. Okay. All right, now I'm just gonna glue this to this. And what I want to do is just make sure, so it comes up across here, that I don't glue up higher than it's gonna go. So it still looks good from the back. Now you could nail this together, but I'm trying to do this in a way that you don't have to have tons of specialized equipment. You don't need to get out the nails and do all that kind of stuff. So, you know, for something like this, I just got a bunch of black dust here. I'm just cleaning off with a clean little wet wipe so it looks a little more pristine. And I'm just gonna maybe sand this down a little bit more on the sides. Okay, and now I'm gonna take my little wreath with a little more glue. And that becomes just our little riser. Now, you could, I took one of those little mini Jenga blocks. You could glue that in place by the front door so you've got a little bit of a step. Oh, that kind of looks cute. Just kind of center it. And you could grab a few little bottle brush trees if you also like. Now, you could glue these in place on either side, or you could just simply have them kind of standing in place on either side so that, you know, you could unpack it as part of your display. So you could add those in if you'd like. It just looks super cute. So super simple, super cute, a nice little shelf sitter if you wanted, a little something just in a corner where you just need a little bit of something for Christmas, but you didn't want it to, I don't know, Christmassy, or just a nice, cute, interesting little gift if you need it for somebody else. Something quick, something easy. It doesn't always have to be super complicated. And again, any of the cuts that I made with this, nice and easy, just using a handsaw if you needed to. So nothing difficult, using some old scrap wood. Let me know what you think, you guys. Trying to come up with some quick ones for you leading into the holidays so you're not spending tons of time creating last minute crafts. But if you need a little something, super cute little idea. Looking forward to seeing you on the next one. Until then, take care.